Good morning. This is the Sunday School outline for November 22nd, 2020. I'm Stephen. This is for Grace Baptist Church. Today I'm titling the lesson God, the Uber Shepherd. Lectionary readings for today are Psalm 95, 1 through 7, Psalm 100, Ezekiel 34, 11 through 16, 20 and 23 to 24, Matthew 25, 31 through 46, Ephesians 1, 15 through 23. I'm going to read completely from Ezekiel 34. I'm going to read the whole chapter. I'm not going to skip those parts. And we read from Ezekiel with several layers to our thinking. We have to remember it is written to and about Israel. And we Christians like to take the parts we like of the Old Testament and adopt them for ourselves. And we tend to just adopt part of what we like. Well, we can claim ownership of the Old Testament writings essentially because Christian is just a Jewish sect. We claim to worship the same God, and we claim to be adopted through Jesus, the Messiah, into God's kingdom. So what I do want to talk about, though, is what this passage actually says. Well, let's start out with, what can Ezekiel mean by shepherds of Israel? There pretty much isn't an Israel anymore when Ezekiel is coming up with the stuff that he wrote. He used to live in Israel, but then it got conquered again, and he got exiled, and now he lives in Babylon. Wasn't a good, happy time for him, but there he was. Well, there was always a remnant left behind, so there still was an Israel. Not the upper class folks like Ezekiel, just plain people. So Ezekiel is talking to them, as well as those like himself who are still alive, but in exile, who are part of the Israel in exile. Now, as modern people, we extend this flock to modern Jewish people, modern Christian people, modern Muslim people, modern people of your own country, modern people. Okay, just everybody. This is common for Christians, and I am neither going to defend this practice nor rebuke it here and now. And there are a number of the places throughout the New Testament talking about this, and a good concordance or a search engine such as DuckDuckGo will find stuff for you to think about. So Ezekiel 34, the preamble to the prophecy. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel, prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? Well, yeah, shouldn't they? Here's the shepherd's wrongs. A, ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with wool. You kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. The diseased have you not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken. Neither have ye brought again that which was driven away, neither have ye sought that which was lost. But with force and with cruelty have you ruled them. Religious leaders do that. Ezekiel accuses our rulers of treating the metaphorical flock like a real flock and selling it off and ignoring what is left. It's not good stewardship. And the condition of the people, they were scattered because there is no shepherd, and they became meat for all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. So let's talk about the wrongs. Therefore, ye shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As I live, saith the Lord God, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, and because there is no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but my shepherds fed themselves and fed not my flock. See, the leaders weren't leaders. We're talking about the religious leaders. They were supposed to feed the people. They weren't leaders, but they were abusers of people. They considered people as things, property, resources to be made use of. And here's consequences. Therefore, O ye shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their head, and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves any more. For I will deliver my flock from their mouth, that they may not be meat for them. God as a uber shepherd. It's God as an over shepherd. God as a great shepherd. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people, and gather them from the countries, and will bring them into their own land, and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon their high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. I will seek that which was lost, and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong, and I will feed them with judgment. So, God's self would become the shepherd of Israel, and it won't be a politician or religious leader who will be the shepherd. And in fact, it's the politicians and religious readers who are going to suffer. God will destroy the fat and the strong. He's going to feed them with judgment. But it's not just the leaders who screwed up. The people themselves were doing wrong. And as for you, O my flock, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between the rams and the he-goats. Seemeth it a small thing unto you to have eaten up all the good pasture? But you must tread down with your feet the residue of your pastures, and to have drunk of the deep waters, but you must foul the residue with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat that which ye have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which ye have fouled with your feet. So it's not just the rulers, it's not just the religious leaders. It's the people themselves that harm other people, that prey upon other people. Ezekiel himself is not a shepherd. He has seen sheep, of course, but he is living in the cosmopolitan metropolis called Babylon, and before that he lived in the cosmopolitan metropolis called Jerusalem, and he does not have a lot of different words for livestock. So he just says sheep and goats and cattle and cattle. This emphasizes, though, that he talks about injustices committed by peers, people who are alike each other. I'm afraid animals, not having much sense of social justice to pick on, they pick on the one that's different, the one that's less able. That's what animals do, but we're not animal. The six of a flock of wild animals are mostly left to starve and become the first prey of the hunting creatures like hyenas. That kind of makes sense if you're a wild animal, but people should have a better idea. We should know that all members of our society help the whole and not just the healthy individuals. God saving the people from the people. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God unto them, behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between lean cattle, because ye have thrust with the side and with the shoulder, and pushed all the diseased with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. Now, Ezekiel talks about fat and lean cattle. Not only do the powerful ones eat all the food so that they get fatter, they chase the weaker ones off and tromp on what they themselves don't eat and get the water dirty that they themselves don't drink. So the promises of future good, messianic promises. This whole chapter is considered one of the messianic prophecies of Ezekiel. And here's what he says, "And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them. Even my servant David, he shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, the Lord God, will be their God, and my servant David, a prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken it." Kind of sounds like he's going to be like the zombie David, but I don't think that's it. That's why we call it a messianic prophecy, because it's a David who's not really physically David, but somebody else. Like, as Christians, say Jesus, Messiah. Other people say, Jewish people say the Messiah that's to come. And I don't know what Hindus would say. Well, anyway, peace with the animal kingdom. "And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and will cause the evil beasts to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods." They'll have harmony with the environment, and I will make them and the places around about my hill a blessing. And I will cause a shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, individual liberty, and shall know that I am the Lord, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the land, out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. World peace. "And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall be no more consumed with the hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen any more." This is where, in Revelation, talks about the tree of life growing in the middle of the New Jerusalem. Relationship with God. "Thus shall they know that I, the Lord their God, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, saith the Lord God. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your God, saith the Lord God." So God will be the God of the people. God will be with the people wherever they are, and not just in the temple. They will no longer cower at the base of the mountain of God like the children of Israel did after they left Egypt, but they will be with God themselves. And that's where I'm going to end it, being with God themselves. Thank you. Have a good week.